Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Something strange started happening today, and maybe you noticed it. Crypto media outlets began pushing a narrative that Ripple and the SEC are going to come to settlement. There are stories all over the place. I pulled up several just to point it out on this video. And I don't mind seeing opinion like that shared. That's perfectly fine. In fact, I've said many times that I think what's most likely to occur rather than summary judgment, which would be the judge finally indicating a basically winner and loser and to what degree regarding this lawsuit, I think what's more likely is that settlement will be reached at some point. Don't know for sure, but I'm just engaging in a little bit of fun speculation based on publicly available information, right? But these articles started popping up today, and I got a little bone to pick with these crypto media outlets because they were not remotely responsible in the way that some of this was reported, and they clearly did about zero research. It's as if they don't have the internet and they don't have any search engine at all. It's like, what's the Googles? Have you heard of this before? So here's a headline, for example, from BitcoinEthereumNews.com. Former comptroller of the currency says Ripple and SEC will settle to enable investors to continue trading and holding XRP. And this is circulating widely. This is probably the most circulated thing within the XRP community on social media today, so far as I've seen anyway. The problem is, the news that is, well, part of it, as you'll see, it's being reported incorrectly, so I want to correct that. And also, what's being cited here as new information from former comptroller of the currency, Brian Brooks, what's being reported as new information in a recent interview, it's actually an interview from about a year and a half ago. So it just made me laugh. So I'm just going to use my platform to fix the mistakes that they made, make sure that everybody out there is aware that this, although it's positive news, it's old news. But the interesting thing is that, and look, I spent a fair amount of time going through comments, like on Twitter, for example, trying to find somebody who was saying, guys, this is old news. And maybe somebody did. I don't pretend to have seen every single comment that was on Twitter on this topic, but I personally didn't come across any at all. And so eventually I just wrote up a short thread explaining this is old news and explained why. But I need to go a little bit further and share with you what the parts they got wrong. And while pointing out, happy to point out, as transcribed in this article, it's very positive news. And I think Brian Brooks is on the right track. And he does think that, a former government official, mind you, and a lawyer, he does think that XRP is going to resume trading on cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States. But before sharing you the rest of the specifics, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And you can see right here, this is a brand new article from today, August 22nd, 2022. So again, that one's from BitcoinEthereumNews.com. Here's another one from Times Tabloid. It was posted 11 hours ago. Here's one from CryptoNews.net. This one was posted 14 hours ago. Here's one from Crypto News Flash, also posted today, as you can see. And so upon seeing all of this, despite the fact that it's positive news, I wanted to set the record straight here. So I shared one of those stories, and I wrote the following. It's what's on your screen right here. I said, multiple crypto media outlets are publishing new stories about comments from Brian Brooks predicting settlement in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. I'd like to point out that Mr. Brooks's comments are from early 2021, and they seem to not realize that. And then I wrote, here you can see the clip, which is the topic of these crypto media stories, was posted by James Rule XRP on February 8th, 2021. And here's the actual video. This is what they were talking about. You can see there he was, my fellow XRP YouTuber, James Rule XRP, February 8th, 2021, posted this exact interview. And so I then wrote on Twitter, the reason this is happening is that yesterday, and this is a Twitter XRP community member on Twitter named RizXRP, posted this clip, and crypto media made an assumption that this was a new interview. Had they done minimal Google searching, they would have realized this is not the case. And so nothing against RizXRP. Anybody in the community, you're well within your right to share anything having to do with Ripple and XRP or anything in crypto, whatever you want to. It doesn't have to be brand new. It's just so funny that because you can see here's the date that it was shared, literally yesterday, August 21st, was shared by RizXRP. These sloppy crypto media people bunch of C students, clearly, they just ran with this and just assumed that it was new because it was published by this Twitter user yesterday. I can't help but laugh a little bit. And then I shared the additional links to other stories that they all covered it one after another. Like one crypto media outlet picked it up and they just copy each other. It's ridiculous. They even had some of the same errors. Like they're not even coming with their own original crap. Like they're basically reading an article and then rewording it so that they're not actually plagiarizing, but it shares the same false information. It's like so obvious what they're doing. There's like a pretty minimal effort into this stuff. So the article from Bitcoin Ethereum News reads as follows. And again, this is titled, Former Comptroller of the Currency Says Ripple and SEC Will Settle to Enable Investors to Continue Trading and Holding XRP. The lawsuit between Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission has been a major topic of discussion in the cryptocurrency industry. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts, including popular figures in the industry, have weighed into the debate as to whether Ripple offered unregistered securities in the United States. With the lawsuit expected to end by March 2023, some experts have begun to make their predictions on a possible outcome. Brian Brooks, the former Binance US CEO and previous acting comptroller of the currency, is the latest to speculate on the possible outcome of the Ripple v. SEC lawsuit. In a recent interview, from a year and a half ago, folks. And by the way, I remember this. As soon as this popped up, I saw the clip start playing silently. And, like if you're scrolling down Twitter, videos just start playing on their own. So it was playing silently. And I'm like, oh, it looks like the same place he was sitting, and he was talking about the same thing like at some point last year. So then I listened to it. I was like, this is from a year and a half ago. And then I pulled up the original posting of it that I saw anyway from a year and a half ago. I was like, yeah, it's from a year and a half ago. What the hell are these crackheads talking about? So anyway, piece reads as follows. In a recent interview, Brooks noted that the court would decide whether Ripple's 2013 initial coin offering, or ICO for short, is a breach of U.S. securities law. Okay, let's all pause here to just face palm a little bit together. So I'll face palm together and audibly sigh. Look, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. A Ripple IPO? What? Ripple had an XRP ICO, rather? No. So XRP was created and fully functional before Ripple, the company, was even created. And Ripple's initial funding came from venture capitalists. Now, eventually, Ripple did end up getting sold to specific partners, but Ripple never sold to end users like us also. There was no initial coin offering. That is absolutely, completely bogus and untrue. So I wanted to take the time to correct that, because this isn't a brand new article from today. It's just the amount of fail in this article is really impressive. It's really impressive. Now, I am glad that they transcribed what Brian Brooks had to say properly, so we're about to get to that, and that's the real fun part. So stick around if you've got the... I promise I'm going to get to it in just a minute here. It's in the article. It's on your screen right now. But, wow. It's times like these when I see this that I'm so glad I had the platform, because if I didn't, and I couldn't correct on a reasonable scale the fails of crypto media, it would be really frustrating. So thank you to all of you listening for the continued support even during the bear market. I really do genuinely appreciate it, but holy freaking hell here, guys. Anyway, article continues. However, he expects both parties to settle the line to enable investors to continue trading XRP in the United States. According to Brooks, the settlement that may likely happen will border around the distribution of XRP in 2013. And so here's the quote from Brian Brooks. Here, I'm actually going to say this too. You'll see as we go through this, I get the sense, and you'll see he's a little bit unwilling to say certain specifics. He's, to some degree, saying let the law figure it out. But I'm supposing, based on the way that he said certain things, and I'll point it out, I think that he's thinking like us. I'm speculating, but I think there's a reasonable chance that he's thinking like us, because he's talking about certain things that would really get to a particular prong of the Howey test in terms of whether or not there's a common enterprise. If there's a common enterprise, you're satisfying a prong of the Howey test. That's not good if you don't want your asset to be a security. So here's the quote. Here, the most important issue about the XRP is that there is a difference between the way the asset is distributed and the nature of the asset at a given moment and time. And I think the issue is that whatever happened at the original distribution of the XRP tokens 10 years ago Whether that was or was not a security, that is what the courts will decide. The question is whether XRP today is a security. So let me pause. If somebody's making that distinction, I think they're on our side. And they understand that what the SEC is arguing is complete bogus nonsense. Just the fact that he'd say, the question is whether XRP today is a security. Because if you're saying something like that, the odds are you understand that anything can be packaged and sold as an investment contract, including Bitcoin, including gold, which is a freaking element, the periodic table, my friends. Yes, you can package it in such a way that it represents an investment contract. That's certainly possible. The underlying asset is never the security. And that there's precedent for that dating back to the Howey case, Supreme Court case back in 1946. So the fact that he stated this, and not surprisingly, it's coming from him, he's a lawyer too, the fact that he'd make that distinction really pops out at me. And that's a good sign. And then he said, here's the rest of his quote. He said, let me read the last sentence also. He said, the question is whether XRP today is a security. The answer is that the SEC itself has said that assets can change their nature with time as they achieve utility and decentralization. So pause to note, the SEC has never taken an official position, but I know what he's saying here, I think, right? He's talking about how there have been top officials that have said just that, including William Hinman. And then he says, this is Brian Brooks again, I will just make a quick prediction that there is a settlement that will be done somewhere. The settlement has to do with the distribution of the tokens so that existing token holders can continue to trade them and find value in them in ways that they do, end quote. And so, look, it's worth being aware. That, like, this goes back to another thing that I've been saying all the damn time. Almost 100% of humans, hey, let's just take it a step further. He's a lawyer. Almost 100% of lawyers on the planet have the same perspective that we do within the XRP community here. That XRP itself is not a security. Maybe Ripple did. If the SEC wanted to just argue that Ripple packaged XRP in such a way that that represents an investment contract, okay. But when you start going to Looney Tunes land stating that the underlying asset XRP is a security, that's as dumb as saying that in the Howey case, oranges were securities, right? And so the only lawyers that I can find, with rare exception, that actually say XRP is a security are lawyers at the SEC. I can only think of two others off the top of my head. And they both happen to be, they're attorneys at the, what was the law firm called? Something like, it was a weird name, like Anderson Kill or something like that. I can't remember. It's a law firm, but those two, before this all even went down, the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, they already were publicly on record stating very negative things about Ripple and XRP. They were already XRP haters, so go figure, they happen to not like that. And then when the SEC comes down, they're saying, well, XRP is a security and the SEC is going to win. So they're already heavily biased anyway. So the only attorneys that I'm aware of, I'm not saying there aren't any others, but there's almost none. The only attorneys I'm aware of outside of the SEC that are saying XRP actually is a security already didn't like XRP. So I think we're on the right side of this thing. So, I mean, there could be a miscarriage of justice. Fine, I know that that's a risk, but I'm very optimistic for the future. And in all the pretrial stuff, Ripple's legal team has just been, by and large, just hitting it out of the park here. And it seems to be developments seem to be very in favor of XRP holders specifically, and Ripple as well. So we shall see what happens. But there, I'm glad I had an opportunity to straighten that up. And yeah, I will say this, like, again, even though that's from a year and a half ago, it seems pretty clear to me that most people, just by the fact that nobody caught that this was, at least that I saw, pretty much nobody caught that fact that this is a year and a half old comment. It tells me that most people probably didn't see this, but it is worth knowing. So there we are. Now you know, and the record has been set straight. All up in this bitch. What a hot jam here on the Moon Lambo channel. But I'll wrap up. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.